Hey everyone, John here from Cast and Shoot Outdoors, CnS Outdoors on YouTube, CnS Outdoors on Facebook. Wanted to talk a little bit about the deer hunting seasons. You just completed one. Most of the United States, at least in the upper half, the seasons have ended. It's January now. So we start thinking about the upcoming seasons for next year and the things that we can do now that will help us and not take as much work come summer when it's hot, wet, and buggy out. Scouting is a huge, huge thing this time of the year. Like I said, we're up in the northern half of the United States, so we have some snow. Hopefully it's not too deep in your area, but where we're at, the snow has not been nearly like it normally is this time of the year. We probably only got a few inches here of snow. With that, it makes scouting so much easier. Now's the time. The deer are still in those patterns. They're just starting to yard up, but you can see where these deer have made their trails, maybe some areas that you weren't expecting earlier. You can see the rub lines. Bedding areas are pretty easy to tell now this time of the year. So our scouting is very valuable at this time of the year. This is when we like to do most of our scouting. Now, things do change. Clear cuts happen during the summer. Farmers plant different food out there in their fields. So yes, sometimes it does change, but for the most part, things remain pretty consistent. So January, we really like to do most of our scouting at this time of the year. Because we're doing this scouting and we're finding places, we're looking for stands to put up. So we're in the central forest zone. We have a lot of pines. So we have a tendency to look for those pines. We have a northwest wind that's predominant in our area. Most places are this time of the year, of course. And so we're looking for stand placements that will at least affect these new places that we find. The pine trees, they've got a great scent, and that kind of helps as a cover up, I like to think. But those are some of the places that we like to look for. Big oaks, just these places that you can conceal really well. We use a lot of ladder stands or climbing sticks when we do our stands. We're not so much as the solo climbers, the saddles, even though I'm a little bit too old and too big to use the saddles, I guess. But the self climbers is not what we use very much, especially since we have private land that we're hunting. But making new trails is another thing that is really important to do this time of the year. You can make those trails so you can slip in and out of those stands, hopefully not detected, a lot less noisy. The trees don't have all the shrubbery on them, the leaves, so it's a lot easier to cut those trees, those small bushes down, so you can make your in and out that much easier to be undetected. Clearing new food plots or adding on to an existing food plot. This is probably one of the easiest and best times of the year to do that. If you have a lot of trees that need to be cut down, bushes, things just need to be cleared. This is the time of the year that we really like to do that. So that way when it does come to spring, you can spray on your weed killer. You can get that tiller out or do the no-till thing, whichever way you want to go with it. But this is the time of the year to clear out those and design those food plots. So that way come spring, you can actually work on them, not just clearing them out. We like to do a lot of hinge cutting. We're in the central forest zone. There's not a lot of agriculture around us. The deer pretty much feed on what's left over from the oaks if they can find it. They eat a lot of woody browse. Clear cuts are the areas that they like to really hit this time of the year, up in the Central Forest zone. Agricultural areas, they've got quite a bit of food, but hinge cuts in the agricultural areas provide bedding area too. So if you do hinge cuts properly, it's very beneficial for both food and shelter for the deer, depending upon what type of area you're hunting. If you lease land or you are able to get on private land because you have a landowner that's very gracious to you, one of the things that we really stressed was to other farmers when we were able to hunt their places is we would go along their fields and we would cut down these big branches that hung over the fields or trees that fell onto those fields. That way when the farmers were in their harvest season, those big branches that were hanging down weren't hitting their tractors, their wagons, causing damage. That gave the farmer one less thing that he had to worry about, and he was able to tend to his daily chores rather than out there cutting those tree limbs down or removing those trees that fell, big branches that fell in their fields. Highly suggest that if that's what you do, if you hunt on private land, that a farmer will let you get out there and clear those fields for them. Also with that, a lot of these farmers and a lot of these landowners, they burn wood. Ask them if you can help them cut wood if they ever need a hand with that. Again, that's another time saver for them. As we all know, it's hard on the back, so some of these farmers, they could use that little bit of a break. So that's just another thing, not that it really does too much for the hunting aspect, but it can allow you to stay in good graces with a farmer or even get you onto their place. So those are some tips and things we like to do in January and February to start our new season. I hope they help you. With that said, tight lines, shoot straight, and if you like our channel, please subscribe. We're trying to get more content out to you, and thanks everyone.